Hello everybody, X here, back at it again to give you another very exciting video. And yes, it's still Mario week here on my channel though. And if you hadn't already done so and checked out any of my past reviews that managed to go up there on the channel, whether it be like my impressions thing or happens to be my review of the thing or any of my gameplay footage that I managed to drop here and stream on the channel though, make sure to go ahead and check out all of that different kind of stuff here on the channel because there's been a lot of stuff. And I was just fully dedicating this week towards Mario because of the fact we got the movie that released last week though. But for today's video, I just want to go through and talk about everything Mario means to me in terms of like where I grew up from, how he kind of got me into gaming, some of my fond moments, some of my favorite Mario games, or maybe some that aren't so good, or at least in my personal opinion though, but they still meant something to me at the very end of the day, and just kind of explain how that all affected me, how that kind of led to me starting off this YouTube channel and whatnot though, and just talking about the gaming industry as a whole and everything else in between. But if you hadn't already done so, make sure to go ahead and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing, and anything else I feel like dropping here on this Mario week here on my channel though. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight into this video. So Mario, we know Mario as the Blue Plumber way back when. I think the first appearance that he actually made was like way back within like Wrecking Crew, or if you're thinking about, you know, the original Donkey Kong days and whatnot though. You know, he started his humble beginnings like that, but we really didn't know him to be truly Mario the way how we know him now until he dropped on that one fateful day on the NES with Super Mario Brothers. And that was one of my very first games I think I ever managed to get into right here. I had the NES copy that had like, you know, Mario as well as Duck Hunt. Man, me and Duck Hunt also go way back though, but this game right here meant quite a bit to me. It was literally one of the very first games I ever started off with. It was a combination of that and Super Mario 64, but I put more time into the NES one, surprisingly, just to kind of get my introduction to Mario though. I can largely thank that to my dad. My dad, I think whenever he was growing up, he was in college, I think he always had an NES, and I think it was kind of early in this era where he had an N64, so those are the consoles that he happened to have being a young adult or whatever though. And I think I was like roughly around the age of 5 or 6 or something like that. He started to kind of teach me like, oh hey, these are some fun games that you can have some cool experiences and whatnot with. He introduced me to Mario way early on, and since then the rest has been history. I'm just thinking back at this game and I'm like, man, me and Mario go way back. It was interesting how I think even when I was going through and playing this game as like a wee lad, I was never able to go through and fully beat the game. There weren't anything like save data or save points or stuff like that. Stuff that we take for granted nowadays within most modern day games or whatnot though. It was a struggle. I think the farthest I might have ever gotten was like World 4 or whatnot though. Like, what was it? The ones where it had like those green hilltops or whatnot though. Because, you know, you take those different warp pipes and that got you so far into the game or whatnot though. And it wasn't until years later, I'm talking about years later, I think up into the Switch, whenever we had Super Mario Brothers drop on the NES for the NSO service, where I actually managed to finally sit down and beat the game. There is a shortcut I didn't even know that was like early on in World 1 that jumps you all the way to the very end. I was like, what the heck? But no, it finally put a smile on my face whenever I finally managed to clear Bowser, which, mind you, Bowser on the NES, like, what kind of final boss was that, man? He was chunking so many hammers and breathing fireballs and stuff. I was like, what the actual heck? I don't know, but me and Mario, we went way back, and since then, the rest is history. I do remember the other one I did mention a second ago was Super Mario 64. Ooh, now this is the game right here. If out of any game I think I've ever played throughout all my gaming years of my experience, I think this is one of my most favorite games of all time. Or at least now I know it's in like my top 3 or 5 or whatnot though. It's never gonna fall outside of that just because my fond memories of that. I never went through and actually 100% of it, got all 120 stars, but I managed to get quite a far way up in there. I got as high as like somewhere between 100 and 110 stars. I don't know, maybe I should make that one of my goals in like what, Super Mario 3D All-Star Collection or something like that. But man, I can't say how many hours I put into this game, just going through that snow level world and just messing around with the penguin and stuff like that. Even I even got distracted. You know how you're supposed to go through, collect your coins or whatnot though, to lead you to stars, to unlock keys and doors that kind of leg you off further on into the whole castle, leading your way up to Bowser though. But there's little things you kind of do off the side. Like, I don't know why, it was kind of like an unspoken rule that everybody always picked up that penguin in that snow world and just chunked them off the edge of the ledge. I was like, what the heck? I thought that was just me and my brother. What some things that we personally did though, but apparently everybody else growing up apparently did the same thing. I don't know how. It's just weird little things like that. I guess also the fact that people used to blow cartridges like that. I thought it was just my family, but apparently that was the thing that everybody did though. But Mario 64 was a phenomenal game. Inspired me quite a bit. It was crazy to go from everything from like stuff that was in the 2D jumping over to the stuff that's over there in the 3D like that. That was kind of a mind-blowing experience, because I literally only grew up on the NES and N64. Unfortunately, I skipped out on the Super Nintendo era, which had some great phenomenal games up in there, like Yoshi's Island or Super Mario World. Like, those were some good games. It wasn't until years later on until I experienced games like Super Mario Bros. 3, which that introduced like the world map and stuff like that. I was like, man, those are some just great phenomenal games. Like 2D Mario never missed a beat. 3D Mario, having that open sandbox era, oh man, that was just so nice. And then making your way up and fighting Bowser, that being your final boss once you got like roughly about 70 stars. Man, it was just such a good liberating experience, just getting that wing cap and flipping out and just soaring off over there into the sky though. I was like, man, I don't know, man, that was just a great and phenomenal game over there. Obviously, you had some spin-offs with some Mario games. I was trying to primarily stick with my experiences with 2D or 3D or whatnot though, but I did have to go ahead and mention this as like one of the most staple, side series within the Mario series though, but that being Mario Kart. For me, Mario Kart all started on the Mario Kart 64. While yes, some people like it, some people don't. It's way better than Super Mario Kart back on the SNES. This whole thing, that thing's a little bit of atrocious though. But Mario Kart 64, that was just some fun times. I mean, battling way into the wee night hours, whether it was with some friends or some of my families or whatnot though, just doing the battle modes and stuff like that, like the fortress or the lava circle or dome or whatnot though. Those were just some really fun moments that you just over there had. And it's like, I don't know, it's like you play some other games or stuff like that. I know there were some other great games that was, on the N64 during that era though, but there wasn't nothing like the quality that Mario games were being made. And lo and behold, I figured out that Shigeru Miyamoto was behind most of these early Mario games. And I tip my hat off to that man though, because man, if it weren't for him, I don't know where my child would basically stand at this point though. But Mario Kart, that's a phenomenal series. I wound up going through and playing almost every single Mario Kart game. No, correction, I did play every single one. It's the fact that not necessarily owning every single one. I think the only one I don't technically own was like Super Mario Kart on the GBA or whatnot though, but thanks to the NSO service, now I have access to actually playing that. So I have ways to play in every single Mario Kart game over here that ever have released. So that is really nice to talk about. And while we're on Mario Kart though, I think Double Dash is one of my most favorite Mario Kart games. I think it's between Mario Kart 64, Double Dash, the Wii one's pretty solid, and 8 Deluxe. Those are some of my most favorite Mario Kart games though, but there's a little charm to Mario Kart Double Dash, because that was the one that I was growing up, my cousin had that game. And I was like, what is this? I was like, you're able to switch between different characters and you're able to save items and stuff like that. I was like, what the heck? I was like, it was such a great game. Fast forward like so many years into the future. For some odd reason, when I was in high school, I had a teacher, history teacher. He only taught like half the class period or whatnot though. And then lo and behold, he said the rest of it was free time or whatever though. For some odd reason, he had like a Super Nintendo and a GameCube hooked up into like his like storage closet area or whatnot though. So it was like a handful of us guys. As soon as he let out, we all ran over there and went up in there, shut the door, and we started playing a bunch of Mario Kart and whatnot though. Mario Kart Double Dash. Yeah, we made loops and loops and loops around Baby Park. Baby Park, that was like our NASCAR course right there, for just in terms of just pure fun, pure enjoyment like that. Just making those loops around, just trying to see who comes out on first, chunking a lot of blue shells, like, oh shoot though. But the strategy in that little game was really nice. The fact that you could save a really good item, go all the way to first, and then if somebody was like trying to throw something at you, you can pop that starter power out, and the rest is history though. But man, I had some really good fun times with Mario Kart Double Dash right here. This was the stuff. That was the stuff though. Fast forward a little bit though. Played a lot of other Mario games though, but another one that stood out to me was Super Mario Galaxy 2. This one right here, oh shoot. I'm a really big fan of 3D sandbox style ones, so that's like your Mario 64 or a little bit of Sunshine. I'll talk about it here in a bit. Or your Mario Odyssey. I always like those ones quite a bit though. But the linear ones, I wasn't necessarily, I didn't think I was going to be like a really fond fan of it because it's like it kind of limits where you go. But Galaxy stuck a different chord with me. Just going through and experiencing, everything that Mario had to do. He about almost explored everything he could do on what will be considered as Earth, but the fact that he went out into space and rolled around with Yoshi, interacting with Lumas, interacted with a mysterious princess that interacted with a bunch of different Lumas out there in space with Rosalina, I was like, that really opened my eyes. I was like, man, this is actually some really good stuff. And I was like, oh shoot. I was like, and I just remember some of my moments going through there and just kind of going from planet to planet, and then the gravitational physics and stuff. Like, I was like, what is, I've never experienced Mario like this before. I was like, what on earth though? But yeah, that was just absolutely crazy and absurd for me to kind of wrap my mind around. Back, what was it, in the Wii eras, back around like the early 2010-ish or something like that. Those early years or whatnot though, those were some pretty good fun times, at least with me and Mario on that one right there. And it wasn't until later on I actually got the manage to experience the original Mario Galaxy within the 3D All-Star Collection right here. I did already beat Mario 64, but I never went and actually played Sunshine and the original Mario Galaxy. Since I'm already talking about Mario Galaxy, let's go ahead and start there. So OG Mario Galaxy, I was like, I played Galaxy 2. I knew that was a great game. I finally got to dive into Galaxy. It just felt a little more so like, original Galaxy 2. I could see why some people like the original Galaxy a little better than 2, just because maybe the nostalgia factor or whatnot, or you get to see the lore with Rosalina, which wasn't really kind of present over there within Mario Galaxy 2. But nonetheless, I thought it was still a great game. I thought it was phenomenal, whatnot though. But at least me in my heart, and maybe that's nostalgia speaking right there, but Mario Galaxy 2 is always going to be my favorite one, at least out of between those two right there. So not too much to say more about that. But woo! Mario Sunshine. Okay, I know somewhere on this channel you can go ahead and actually, I don't know, there might be a card over there popping up in the corner here somewhere though, but I did manage to get my impressions on Mario Sunshine way back whenever the 3D All-Star Collection dropped, and I actually managed to play this game myself. And at the time, it was technically the worst Mario game I ever played. I know, mind shocking, right? I know that game is very divisive in terms of, how people kind of feel, because some people really love it, some people really don't. Don't get me wrong, I love the music, I like the world setting, the environment, the mood, the atmosphere, everything's great though. But some of those floodless levels and stuff like that, and some of kind of the wiggity jack, all of that, where it's like, you get clipped up underneath that thing, and don't even get me started on that jingle whenever Mario dies. I just hate that thing. Mamma mia. But I don't know, there's just a handful of things that I just personally did not like on there. But at first I thought that was the worst game ever, but technically 3D World is actually a step lower than that. So I can't say this is truly the worst game in the Mario series. I think 3D Worlds is lower. The main knock on that game was just because of how much it's focusing on multiplayer, but if you were to play through it solo, it's not as fun. That's the main reason why that one's on the lower totem pole compared to this. But this thing has some things going for it. It's just not all the bells and whistles that I personally like though. But Bowser Jr. being the main antagonist in that series though, really great stuff as well though. Honestly, the game's still fun. It just ain't as fun as what I experienced in some other Mario games, but it still leagues better compared to, any other random game you might actually manage to pick off the street or whatever though. So yeah, so those were some really good experiences right there. Now, last and certainly not least, I could be talking about a whole bunch of other Mario games between everything else I played though, but the other one I want to say that really stood out to me in most recent memory is Mario Odyssey. Mario Odyssey is a phenomenal game. I mean, you get to throw this little Cappy boy around, and you seeing it on the shirt and stuff like that. You get to throw Cappy around and capturing other different things and using them to be able to traverse the world. We're finally back within the sandbox style era again, and I'm like, oh shoot, yes. this is the Mario I love. And I didn't get any vibes like that since like Mario 64. It's been that long ago since I got some personal vibes like this though. It's one of the few games I actually managed to go through and 100%. I don't normally do that with basically any game I normally play through, but this one meant so much to me. I just did it. And don't even get me started when I got to the New Dunk City thing where, you saw Pauline, she did her little dance and whatnot, though. The iconic song that we all associate with Mario Odyssey. Just going through that level, experiencing the interactions with what he did with Donkey Kong and stuff like that, literally called New Dunk City. I was like, I don't know, it kind of brought a tear to my eye. I was like, man, that just really hit me because it just felt like everything Mario has done up to that point was just accumulated and showcased off in that one little bite-sized level right there though. But I think the really thick icing on the cake had to been that post-game after you managed to beat the game, where you actually managed to go out and explore the castle grounds from the original Mario 64 one. That actually did bring some tears to my eyes because I was like, that was literally my childhood right there. I was like, it's just something about Mario games. It's just comfort food. It's something that you literally can go back to time and time again, pick it up, play it. And I don't think you normally forget most of the controls because it just feels like the natural bread and butter. Like I can go and pick up Mario Galaxy 2, do everything. Mario 64 is like, putting a blindfold on me. Mario Odyssey, the controls just felt so fluid though. But it's just comfort food. You can always come back to it, even whenever you're feeling out of a whack of sort when playing different other games. You're playing like first-person shooters or just going through and just playing anything else like a heavy RPG or whatnot though. I mean, it's just comfort food to come back to. It's something that you're gonna enjoy. It's something that you're gonna like. Just being a Mario fan just growing up all these years though. I think, Mario Odyssey, that's just everything added up in this game right here. It's just a definition right there. But those were just some of the Mario games. I could keep going on. Like you had your Mario and Luigi series and whatnot though, your Paper Mario that kind of covered your RPG bases. You had all of the Mario Party games. Mario Party 3 was one of my most favorite ones, going through and playing through that. Mario Party 3 and Mario Party 8 I think were the most iconic ones with, like, at least with me and my family and whatnot though. You had some of the Mario sports games as well, some good times with that. Mario has been touching everything from 2D to 3D to sports to RPGs and everything else in between though, party games, etc. And it's just been a really fun blast, experiencing Mario. Literally, it wasn't just a few years ago we celebrated Mario's 35th anniversary. I managed to pick up a lot of merchandising, whether it be t-shirts, hats, etc. though. I mean, me and my boy Mario, this old-fashioned plumber, go way back, man. Even had some spin-offs with some Luigi Mansion series. I managed to play the first and third. I still gotta play the second one though. But honestly, man, Mario, it just means something. It's just comfort food at the end of the day. It's just so good to see Mario on the big screen actually experience a story for once, because while Mario games aren't super deep in their storytelling, they tell like a basic thing. We saw it back in the NES era where it's like, hey, Princess Peach ain't in this castle, she's in another one. You go through 8 different worlds to go over here and save her though. And then you saw some stories stuff within Galaxy, she almost got married over there in Odyssey and whatnot though. It's some basic kind of storytelling, but Mario the character, we hadn't really delved that much into him until the movie, and thankfully Shigeru Miyamoto was working hand in hand with Illumination and stuff when making that movie. And I felt like this is the most character-driven side of Mario we have ever seen. We've seen it in characters like Luigi, Peach, Bowser, a multitude of them across several different games though. But Mario, we just knew mostly as a character Mario who always saves the day and nothing more, nothing less. But in this movie, I don't know, it just struck a really strong chord, and that's what kind of really inspired me to go through and do everything within this week on my channel being dubbed Mario Week though. And I was like, man, I don't know, me and him go way far back though, but man, I had some really good fun delights, some pretty good joy in my life. And even when I hit my lowest points in life, it literally kind of brought me back up to where I can just pick myself off the ground again. And literally, if it weren't for Mario and stuff like that getting me into the gaming series, which led me to have an NES and N64. I had experience with GameCube, recently just went back and bought a GameCube, had Wii, had the Wii U, and then thus the Switch. And then the portable side, I had GBA. Never grew up on the Game Boy, the Game Boy Color, but GBA, DS, 3DS and stuff like that. That kind of kept me always within the circle and stuff, primarily mostly playing first party games, but then eventually It was roughly around the Switch era where I started branching out, playing more third-party games. I played some third parties here and there. Like, you couldn't get away with playing some third-party games on the GBA and the Wii. There was just a crap ton of them, though. But I managed to go through and play a lot of different games with that, and then it just introduced me to the third-party companies, your companies like Capcom, your Ubisoft, Square Enix. I just love myself some RPGs, but it wouldn't have really started unless I started off with the Mario series, and Mario kind of introduced me to RPGing with the Mario and Luigi series and the Paper Mario series and stuff like that. It felt like Mario was basically the dude that was kind of like the bridge that without him, I wouldn't have managed to experience all these other things had it not been for Shigeru Miyamoto creating that character and making that bridge while I was very young in my life, and managed to find out that game is just something I really love to do and it's something I really enjoy and whatnot though. So yeah, I can honestly thank Shigeru Miyamoto, can't thank him enough really, for all the experiences that I had with Mario and whatnot though. But yeah, I think that's pretty much how I felt like I got most things off my chest. And ultimately, you know, that kind of kept me in the gaming loop where I just felt like, hey, I might just go ahead and start up a YouTube channel. I started, what was it, around the time that Pokemon Sword and Shield was about to launch that year. That's when I officially said, you know what, I'm going hardcore here on YouTube though. And, you know, managed to do some things here and there, figure out some things that worked, some things that didn't, evolved a couple of things, managed to take away some things though, but that's currently where it led me all up to here right now, me talking directly to y'all though. But yeah, honestly, that's pretty much all my thoughts I want to kind of give out here on this Mario week, just my experiences with Mario and just me growing up, him as the character, what he basically means to me and everything else in between though. But you gotta let me know down in the comment section down below, what does Mario mean to y'all? Told y'all everything what he means to me, but I'm very curious to see what he means to y'all. And watching that Mario movie, did it manage to strike some chords with you or whatnot though, and make you kind of think, have some fond memories? What is it? Maybe you growing up playing Mario Brothers 3, or maybe you're just a, you know, a new person getting in the game, and maybe your first game happened to be Super Mario Odyssey. How did that make you feel? Or any other game in between? Y'all just gotta let me know in the comments down below, because I am very curious to see where you started off gaming, where you might have met Mario, what he means to you though. But yeah, that's gonna basically do it in terms of this video though. So if you really like it, make sure to go and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing, and anything else I feel like dropping here on the channel on this Mario week though. So remember y'all, until whatever video I make next, see y'all.
Time to jump up in the air. Jump up, don't be scared. Jump up and your cares will soar.